All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to. Let's see. It is our Tuesday night live. Okay, I'm doing good because I said that I promised last week that I was going to be consistent. Hold on, let me turn off my feet. There we go. Okay, so I promised I was going to be consistent. This is the second week. This is the second week that I have been consistent with going. All right. So I am happy to be back. You guys keep me in your prayers. All right. Keep me in your prayers because if I do this right, all right, if I do this right, it means that I'll be able to keep my regular schedule of going live every week. But my schedule changes every week. Hold on. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. There we go. I just invited my Daily Fix family in. Okay, I think we're good to go. How are y'all doing? Welcome Instagram, welcome TikTok. I'm glad that you guys have joined me for this afternoon live session. If you are new to my live, first of all, if you're new to who I am Brittany Noel. I am a mental health therapist here in Houston, Texas, and I've been licensed for over 10 years now. I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. Right now, I don't do much individual therapy anymore. So if you're looking to work with me, you can always find me in the Daily Fix. That is my morning meetup program. The people in the Daily Fix, they get access to me Monday through Friday, right? So instead of doing individual sessions, I give all of my time, effort, and attention to the people into my private community because that's what I'm doing. That's what gives me energy. That's what gives me joy. And so I just be doing that. Okay. So if you ever want to work with me, click the little QR code, and that's where you can find me. Otherwise, you can come to the Heart Talks show. I see some of y'all have been to Heart Talks before. Heart Talks is my live event where we take the show on the road. Me and my team, we pack up, Lord. We pack a lot of bags, and we get on the road. So we've been on tour since March. Pretty sure it was March. We've been on tour since March. You're reading the book? Yes, I love it. Yes, my book is on Amazon. I think it's a good read, but I could be biased. Let me know how you like it. But yes, we are in Miami on the 9th, okay? Miami on the 9th. And we are, let's see, the last show. Our last show is uh, the 23rd in New York. So those are the last two Heart Talk shows. If you want to get a ticket to the Heart Talks, go to the hearttalkstour.com. Now, eventually, yes, Chicago was one of my favorite cities. I love Chicago. Chicago had amazing energy. I love Chicago. We have to come back to Chicago. Um, I will be somehow doing a poll, right? Because we are working on where we want to go for the next leg of the tour in 2026. And listen, Canada's on my radar. All right. Um, I want to pull a poll to see where are because I know anytime we go to Atlanta, it's sold out. Anytime we go anywhere in the South, really, it's sold out. So I know majority in New York. New York is a big hub for us, but I want to see where else are the people at? Okay. Hey, Dr. Frazier. Um, so I'll be doing a poll somewhere, somehow. Don't know how, but I'm gonna do a poll one day and see where everybody is. And we have to go international in 2026. I have to do it. I just have to. I just have to. So yes, I'm coming to Jamaica just for vacation. I love Jamaica. Okay, hey Sandrine. See, just as I was talking about Jamaica, Sandrine, you gotta come. You gotta come over here. Okay, I see Detroit. I get a lot of Charlotte. We may have to hit up. I see Charlotte all the time. Okay. If you guys have joined before, y'all know how we do it. We're going to do a live question and answer tonight. You guys are going to get to ask me questions, and I am going to answer them. Okay. I always say our Tuesday night lives is like a big group session, but most importantly, you are coming to um, have some honest conversations. I always say our Tuesday night live is where we come to ask some hard questions and we get honest answers. Hard questions, honest answers. right. So that's what I'm doing tonight. In the midst, I'm going to welcome my Daily Fix family. Thank you guys. Listen, I was not going to do a public YouTube this week because last week was ridiculous. I don't know how people deal with the trolls. I was not going to do the trolls tonight. So I went live on my YouTube, but only for my Daily Fix people. See, Daily Fix gets special perks. That's why y'all got to come on over to the program. Okay. So I think I went through all of my announcements. At the end of the live, I will give you guys a journal prompt from the exclusive from the Heart Journal right here. So far, it's only been available for the people who come to the tours. But I'll tell you guys where you can get it because you're on live tonight. Okay? All right, all right, all right. But I will give you guys a journal prompt because I want y'all to do the work. Okay? I know y'all love hearing me talk, but I want you to work. I want you to take what I say and then apply it to life. And then come back and you won't believe what happened. That's what I love to hear. Come back and say, I did this thing, it changed, something got better. That's what I want to hear. Right? All right, all right, all right. So let's hop into the first question of the night. First question of the night. Thank This is amazing. Thank you, Candace. Heart Talks Miami and Heart Talks New York, August 23rd. Okay. Who has the first question of the night? Watching from Doha at 4 a.m. You should be asleep. You should be resting. Okay. If it's breaking up, exit and come back. That's all I know how to do. Okay. Okay. So the first question I saw was Miss Shamara on Instagram. She said, how do you allow the woman inside to come to the forefront and put the little bit? And I think what you're referring to is the little person, right? I think I made a few videos talking about the inner child. So here's the thing, right? There's different stages of healing, there's different stages of becoming. And what you learn, right? So if I teach it to you practically, because there's a broad stroke I can give you, but I want to give it to you in steps, right? Because the full version of healing looks like having a full integrated self where I have my higher self, I have my little girl, I have my black hair, and they can all work in tandem with one another because they all serve a purpose. Your little girl never goes away. Your little boy never goes away. Whoever your inner child is, they are with you to the day you die. So you're never getting rid of them, right? But you're learning how to manage them. You're learning how to parent them. You're learning how to mother them. You're learning how to steer them and guide them without them being the ones running the show. That's what you're learning how to do. So when we talk about healing, the way it feels in your body is, especially at the beginning of your process, mostly what you feel is that girl, right? Everything feels dysregulated. Our inner child, when we are triggered or when it's unhealed, it feels a lot like um, a toddler, when you take candy from a toddler and they start freaking out, right? That's what our little people feel like when we have unmet needs and we're trying to be adults. You're a full grown adult, but you're reacting and you're responding like a toddler because the little person in you is the one running the show. So, in order for the higher version of you to come forward, first and foremost, you have to make peace with that little girl, right? Before you can really embody the best version of you or the higher version of you, it's sitting down with that little girl, that little boy, and having a conversation of what is the need that is not met for them, because that's why they're acting out, that's why they're emotionally immature, that's why they are impulsive, that's why they make rash decisions, right? Because my child they're doing what children do, they're being a child. So my goal is to make peace with that child so that now I can grow into the woman that I want to be. Making peace with that child is like first and foremost making sure the child is safe. Right? Many of us didn't have childhoods where we were safe physically, emotionally, mentally, and sometimes spiritually. Right? So, in what ways am I making sure that my inner child feels safe, feels cared for, feels needed, and feels nurtured? So, I'm actually listening for what are my pain points, right? Where do I feel unseen? Where do I feel like no one has my back? Where do I feel like I'm still hurt and damaged? because now you have to become the person who's taking care of that little child. So before you become the next version of you, you're going to have to learn how to be a very good parent to that little person, that little boy, that little girl. They have to be cared for before they can be reined in. So I would tell you to spend a lot of time learning how can I parent myself from a loving and passionate place where the inner me, right, the little me feels safe enough to one, trust me, trust that I'm going to protect them, trust that I'm going to have boundaries, trust that I'm not going to let people close to them that can hurt them, right? They got to trust me. And then eventually you'll get to the place where you can now start growing into the next version of you. And once you start growing into that version, down the line is when you'll start to see a fully integrated individual, right? But we don't start integrated. We start in fragments, we start in pieces. And then as you continue to grow, those pieces start to come together. And now we get a whole individual. That's what healing looks like. Okay? So I would tell you to focus on meeting the needs of that little person. Very good question. All right. All right. I'm glad my videos make you feel better. That's the goal. Okay. YouTube, if y'all got a question, make sure y'all put them in as well. Let's see, who's the next question? And I want to make sure I get a question from a guy because I love working with my ladies, but I love working for the fellas as well. Child, what's Brittany's current obstacle? Heart talks. Heart talks, okay? Right now it's work life balance, right? So heart talks takes up a lot of my time. Um, I didn't have the team that I planned to have when I started the tour. So that means if I didn't have a team, then that means that most of the duties, responsibilities, the stuff on me, right? And it's not that I don't know how to do it because I did it last year, right? So I said here doing heart talks, but the issue was heart talks grew exponentially, very quickly, very fast. So it was finding a team that could not just handle the growth of Heart Talks, but it had to be the right people. Okay. My tribe knows I'm very particular with who I work with and why I work with them. And you have to be a certain personality type to work with me. I know y'all love therapist Brittany, but production Brittany is a different version. Production Brittany, okay, I'm a driver. I am working on Heart Talks. It's like I always tell people it's like you're working on a train. And many of the time, much of the time, we are building the plane while flying. We don't have sponsors, right? We are self-funded. We don't have sponsors. We don't have nobody behind us. We're doing this all on our own. So we are learning. We are adjusting as we adjust. So as with any new thing, it's it takes up all of my attention. That's the balance right now. So after New York is when I'm going to take time to recalibrate, take time to come down off of the Hard Talks tour high, get grounded, and get clear because, as I told Daily Figs, we will bring the Hard Talks back next year, but I have to be very strategic about how I bring it back so that it doesn't take up as much of my energy and space as it did this year, for sure. So that's my current battle. Okay. All right, very good. And thank you for asking. I appreciate when people ask about me. Okay. Okay. Next question I see. Okay. Um, how well, there's so many questions and so many good ones. Oh, okay. I want to answer a lot of them. Okay. Let's do this. I'm just going to pick. I'll be here all day. All right. Can Heart Talks come to London? Absolutely. Let's see. Let's go with this one. How do you change your perspective on the word boundaries and turn it into a positive thing? So boundaries is a neutral thing. It's not positive nor is it negative. It doesn't. If I have a negative feeling towards it, typically there's a storyline there, right? So anytime I have a negative feeling towards something, it's the story that I'm telling myself about boundaries that makes it negative. But boundaries in themselves are neutral. They're not good or bad. They just are, right? So in first of all, understanding what boundaries are, you're going to have to first unlearn whatever story you've learned about what boundaries are. Why do you feel like boundaries are bad? Why do you feel like boundaries have a bad connotation? Boundaries are as necessary, I was going to say as air. Boundaries are as necessary as air, right? But boundaries, I said it perfectly, so eloquently last year. Boundaries are like the alarm system on my home. So if you wouldn't leave your house and just leave the doors wide open, then why do you think that you should live a life where you just have it wide open where anybody can come in and do what they want to do? So if I'm smart enough, if I'm aware enough, if I care enough to protect my home, why wouldn't I use boundaries to protect my being? Right? So boundaries are a protective measure to stop outside influences from negatively affecting me, right? But here's the thing, boundaries, most people think about boundaries and they think about what regulations I'm putting on other people, right? So they think boundaries mean, you know, you can't do this to me, you can't talk to me this way, you can't treat me this way, right? And yes, those that is what some boundaries sound like. But the most effective boundaries are not the boundaries that we put on other people. It's the boundaries that we live by for ourselves, that we live by for ourselves. So that means I'm creating boundaries that says who Brittany is and who she's not, how she shows up in the world and how she doesn't show up in the world, what she accepts and what she doesn't accept. Those are the boundaries that I place for myself before I ever start trying to put boundaries on other people, period. Right? So you have to first unlearn the story that you told yourself about what boundaries are because the story you told yourself is more likely inaccurate. It's probably based in shame. Someone probably told you you were a bad person for putting up boundaries. Somebody made you feel, wrong for using boundaries. And so they guilted you for using boundaries. And that's probably the story you tell yourself. If I use boundaries, I'm a bad person. If I tell people no, I'm a bad person. But that's not true. That's called manipulation, right? So unlearn the story. And before you start putting boundaries on other people, put boundaries on yourself first. What boundaries do I need for me so that I can have safety, so that I can show up authentically, so that I can show up honestly, so that I can flourish and grow in my life? Boundaries are most effective when you focus on the ones you need for yourself. No one can tell you how to live your life. You have to choose how you want to live your life. And your boundaries are the boundaries that you use to keep you in track with that. Okay? All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, Miss Candy. Is that the question? Is that the right question? Did you mean to type that question? Hold on. I'm like, Candy, did you say that question right? You said how she said, why did I leave home at 16 and how can I encourage my teen to run away? Is that what you're asking? Do you want her to run away? Or are you saying how can I encourage her not to run away? Is that the question? Just let me know what you clarify your question for. Okay. Okay, next question. Let me go to YouTube. See what there. See, Miss Destiny says, do you recommend rejoining a church community while I'm still healing from church hurt from a past church and feeling fragile after a breakup, but also lonely and isolation? Yes, I do. Right? But go into the new church that you're going to go into with um, a clear understanding of your capacity and your boundaries, right? The number one reason why I think that you should go to another church is one, because church it is a symbol of community, right? And most of us heal in community. If faith is important to you, you need faith as a part of your routine in order to continue healing. So you don't have to cut out church all the time altogether. But I tell people, when it comes to church hurt, it's not the church that hurt us. It's not the institution of church that hurt you, and it definitely ain't God who hurt you. It's the people running that church that hurt you. So if you took away church hurt and you put Jessica hurt, Minister Paul hurt, Elder Jacquees hurt, I don't know who Jacquees is, right? It was people who hurt you, not the institution of church. So you have to hold the people accountable, not the church. There are plenty great churches out here where you can flourish and you can grow and you can learn, and they want nothing from you, and they're not predatory, and they will uplift you, and you will find a place, and you will have a community where you belong. There are plenty of churches that have what you're looking for in church community, but church didn't hurt you. Preacher so and so hurt you. First lady so and so hurt you. Hold those people accountable for how they showed up in that church. But don't put them together because they don't go together. So if church is a value of yours, if your spirituality is a value of yours, keep your value system, right? This is how, when we get hurt, we start to create a storyline that removes us from ourselves. So even though I value church, because I created a storyline that said now I have church hurt, I will now penalize the church, which is something that I value and it's something that I need to grow. And I will now remove it from my life because I got hurt. The church didn't hurt you. Hold, call them by name, okay? Call them by name. I'm big on naming people, okay? I don't believe in you gonna hurt me in name. No, I'm gonna name you by name, right? I'm going to be very clear about who hurt me because that's who I hold accountable. But I'm not holding a whole institution, a whole body of people accountable for what one or two or five people. Right? Don't allow a church to rob you of your ability to still believe in community, to still believe in belonging, to still believe that there is somewhere where I can go and get that need met for me. And if it's important to you, if it's a value of yours, you're going to need it to heal, right? So, and when you reintegrate back into a new church, this time reintegrate wiser, reintegrate aware that just like a hospital that has healthy people and sick people, a church has healthy people and sick people. Now that I'm wiser, I'll be more, um, I'll be slower with how I create my connections. I'll be more intentional about how, and just because we go to church together don't mean we're gonna be the best of friends. There, there was a time, me and my stories. There was a time when I was at a very toxic church, very toxic church, and you know, I enjoyed the message most times, not all the time, but most times I enjoyed the message. But I knew that the people in the church were very messy. They were very, gossip. They don't talk about each other. I knew that the people of the church were not people that I wanted to be close to. So I was willing to come for the message, but I was not willing to connect to the people. Okay, I'll be nice. I'll come in, how everybody doing, talk to everybody, shake everybody hand. But we don't need to go to brunch after this. I'm good. We don't need to link up after church. I'm good, right? Wish you all the best. So this is where, in your own growth, you will find that you are held accountable for making sure that you are being selective about the people that you allow into your life and what level of access they get. Just because we go to the same church don't mean you get access to me. Just because we go to the same school don't mean you get access to me. Just because we're in the same family doesn't mean you get access to me. Right? So you have to learn how to become more selective about my peer group, even if we share the same belief system, right? That's where you're going to start to grow and learn and mature. And that's when you're going to start picking your connections that feel good to you, that feel intentional, that feel aligned, instead of we're just in proximity of one another. Most people create relationships based off of proximity. We went to the same school, we went to the same church, we grew up in the same neighborhood. And those relationships are, not good or bad. But I'm still responsible for being selective about the people that I'm choosing to come closer. Makes sense? Makes sense. Makes sense? Makes sense. Go, go, get it, get it. Go, go, get it, girl. Okay. All right. Let's see. Give me another question. I can't see any questions on TikTok. I probably should have opened my TikTok app so I can see the TikTok questions. But I can only see Instagram and YouTube right now. So let's see what Instagram got for me. We need a word for the people that feel helpless and defeated. Helpless and defeated. The short answer, right? The short answer is keep going, keep going. Um, Read my book. That's a great. That's a great. Um, and I will tell you, and I will be totally honest and transparent. The feeling of helpless and defeated are two emotions that I know very well, right? I have felt those feelings and emotions at multiple times in my life, both when I was younger, right, but also as an adult, and also as this version of me, right? Helplessness and defeated, it doesn't discriminate. You don't care how much money you make. You don't care, who rapes you. You don't care what side of town you live on. Those feelings are the level ground of being human. We all experience it, right? And we all get there by different ways, whether it's a relationship, financial crisis, death in the family. We all get there at some point in time. What I have learned about feeling helplessness and defeated is that most of the times where I felt helpless or defeated, number one, I was very fixated on an outcome that I did not control. I wanted a certain outcome for my life that I did not control. And so the helplessness, the defeatedness was coming from the fact that I was having to accept that an outcome was going to take place that I didn't want to see happen, but I had no way, there was nothing I could do to stop it. So if the relationship was going to die, it was going to die. If I was going to lose the job, I was losing the job. If I was losing money, I was losing money. Whatever I was losing, whatever was dying, it was going to die, right? So when you talk about feeling helpless and feeling defeated, it's first of all understanding that if I'm really being honest about what I'm helpless about and what I'm defeated about, is that an idea, a desire that has not come to pass. An idea or a desire has not come to pass. So now you have to ask yourself, what does my life mean if it never happens? This is the real question, right? Because we put so much work. If you're like me, I put a lot of work into setting my life up the way I want it to, right? And it was an entire identity crisis when I had to accept you're not in control. I don't care how much work you put in. I don't care how many teeth you cross, how many eyes you dot. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how hard you're willing to work for it. If it's not meant for you, it won't happen. And if you do happen, you may have to sacrifice parts of yourself in order to get it. So helplessness and defeatedness typically shows up when I am at a crossroads in my life where I'm going to have to grieve and bury some things that I'm not ready to grieve or bury. Grieving the idea of who I thought I would be by now. Grieving the idea of what I thought I would have by now. Grieving what I thought this relationship would be. Grieving what I thought this business would give me. I thought it's going to turn out one way, and it hasn't, and I don't know how to make it work. And that's where you feel defeated. I don't know how to make it work. I don't know how to make it come together. I don't know how to make my kids act right. I don't know how to make my husband love me. I don't know how to do this. But what if the answer is that you're not supposed to do it? And I know it's not a feel good answer at all. Moving out of feeling defeated, feeling hopeless means I have to kill my vision of what I wanted to see happen, accept what's in front of me, bury what needs to be buried, and walk forward without the that I thought I couldn't live without. Because it's only through them that I leave it where it's at and I walk forward that I can now find a new hope for the future. This is why I'm hopeless, because the thing that I had hope in has died, and I can't get the new hope until I release the old one. I can't get the new desire until I release the old one. So many people that are hopeless, that do feel helpless, is because they keep trying to revive dead things. It died a long time ago. Either I'm not going to accept it or acknowledge it. But if I'm being honest, it died a long time, and I have to wash my hands of it. Even if it means that the other people are mad, even if it means other people don't want to deal with me anymore, even if it means people say I'm mean, even if it means people disown me, let people talk about you. They're gonna talk about you regardless. But I would rather release the dead things so that I can get a new hope. My life literally depends on me getting a new hope. So if that means I gotta release you or release this or release the job or release the situation, release how you saw yourself so you can see the new version. If I would have stayed bound to the version of me I was when I was 16, if I would have stayed bound to the version of me that I was when I was in my 20s, this version wouldn't be standing here. There have been many burials of previous versions of Brittany. There have been many burials of hopes or dreams that I had in relationships that I didn't release. I had to let them go so that I could. So with helplessness, with hopelessness, keep waking up every day. And every day you wake up, be willing to release whatever you have to release. Cry about it, yell about it, kick and scream, get angry about it. Feel however you need to feel about it, but let it go. Go through the grieving process. And as you get to the edge of your grief, you will find yourself. Very good. Good question. Good question. I think, especially in today's climate, that is an amazing question. Okay, over on YouTube. Can I ever trust a spouse who cheated once? What are my expectations? Your expectations are up to you, right? Can you trust a spouse who cheated? Absolutely. Now, the process of that, the process is very difficult. If I'm married to someone and they betray the trust in our marriage, um, the short answer is absolutely yes. You can get to a place of trust, but it is a very hard road to get there. And getting to a place of trust after trust has been broken, it takes time, it takes patience, but most importantly, it's unfair, but the burden of rebuilding the trust is not on the person who broke it. It sucks. Yeah, that sucks. The way you rebuild trust is one, the person who broke the trust, they're responsible for safe and stable behavior and reassurance. They're responsible for safe and stable behavior and reassurance, which means that they're not doing anything that would re-trigger you or injure you or continue to injure you in any way. They are loyal to the vows of the marriage and the expectations of the marriage, right? And they are constantly providing reassurance in whatever way that they are committed and loyal to you, right? So that's their job. Safe, stable reassurance. That's all they can do. Your job, one, you have to heal the wound that was created. You have to heal all of the unhealthy beliefs and mindsets that came as a function of the betrayal. You have to heal any of other previous traumas that may have gotten re-triggered as a function of the betrayal. And you got to do all of this while waking up every day to trust. They trust is a choice before it ever becomes second nature. So that means every morning you have to wake up and choose, I'm going to trust them. And I'm going to choose to trust them while I'm in pain. I'm going to choose to trust them while I'm angry about what happened. happened. I'm going to choose to trust them while I want to go upside their head about what happened. I'm going to choose to trust them when everything in my system is deregulated. My emotions are deregulated, and I want to yell, I want to scream, and I want to cry. Right? I'm choosing to trust them. What does choosing to trust look like? Choosing to trust is a behavior. So even though mentally and emotionally my mind could be saying, they didn't answer their phone. I called, they didn't pick up. So my brain will go, I wonder if they cheating now, right? Because that's the wound. The wound is speaking. It's doing what it does. Choosing to trust says, I'm not going to blow up their phone 30, 11,000 times. I'm not going to send any crazy text messages. Oh, you must be with your girlfriend. I'm not doing that because I've chosen to trust them. And while them not answering the phone triggers my wound, I'm still behaving in a way that says I trust you. While I'm triggered, I gotta now go sit in the corner and deal with everything that came up because they didn't pick up the phone. That is the process of learning to trust your spouse again. This is why it's hard. This is because it's difficult. This is why it takes time. And when your spouse comes in and they didn't answer the phone, and you in shambles and crying and re-triggered and don't want to talk and don't touch me, don't I can't believe Becky with the good hair. He all he did was just not answer the phone. And now he has to come in and be safe, be stable, and be reassuring. That's all he can. But the bulk of the work is on the person who got betrayed. It's not fair. That's the work. Right? Would you say choosing to trust goes hand in hand with self healing? No. No. It can. It depends on the situation, right? It depends on the couple, right? Because it depends on who I'm choosing to trust. Because if I'm choosing to trust a partner who has a pattern of cheating, they have a history of cheating, they have a pattern of emotional neglect, because cheating doesn't start when they step out, right? Man or female, it doesn't start when they actually step out. Most times, cheating can start in the ways before it ever got to me stepping out of the house, right? So if they have a history of neglect, if they have a history of emotional abandonment, right? And now you've cheated, choosing to trust you and self healing may not go together. Because in order for me to heal myself, I cannot heal with a partner who has a pattern of hurting me, right? Cheating, one off, something crazy happened, it was a rough season. That is different from a pattern of behavior, because a pattern of behavior shows you someone's character. So this is why I said it depends on the relationship, because sometimes, depending on who my partner is, self healing says my partner is a threat to me. Depending on who the partner is, self healing can say my partner threatens my mental and emotional well being, versus having a partner who is genuinely a good person who made a bad decision or made a mistake. Those are two different relationships. So it depends on who you are in the relationship with. Is this person actually the person? So if you take the person away from the behavior, so if you took cheating out of the equation, is this person good for your mental and emotional well being? Take cheating off the table. Take the big stuff off the table and just look at how they show up day to day. Right? That'll tell you if that person is actually good for your mental and emotional well-being. Okay. Very good questions. I loved it. How to protect your children from family you've had to heal from. Be for them what you didn't have. Be for them what you didn't have. If I grew up in a family that I had to heal from, I know exactly why and what I had to heal from. So if I now have children, am I protecting my kids in a way that they will not face the same damage that I face as a function of those family members? If someone had saved me, what would it have looked like? If someone stood up for me, what would it have looked like? If someone advocated for me, what would it have looked like? And then you do that for your kids. And if you're struggling to do it for your kids, it's because you haven't done it for yourself either. Because it's hard to do for your kids what you didn't even do for you, right? So most times, if your kids are in a place where they can get hurt by these family members, 9 times out of 10, you're still in a place where you can get hurt by these family members, right? So if I'm willing to protect my kids, why am I not willing to protect myself? Become for yourself what you did not get in childhood. Give yourself that protection. Give yourself those boundaries. Give yourself that nurturing. And then you will be less tolerant of it in other people. When you learn to really love on yourself in a healthy way, you become so intolerant of people who offer you BS. Because it doesn't even feel good. Like it disrupts my soul when someone treats me poorly. Because I'm like, hold on, this doesn't feel good at all, right? Because I don't even treat myself in that manner. I treat myself better than that. So when someone treats me a certain way, it disrupts my being because that's not what we do around here. I don't talk to myself that way, so you not. I don't treat myself that way, so you can't. So the better you get at actually becoming the advocate that you needed, becoming the safety that you needed, you'll be less tolerant of other people when they are treating you so. Okay, you can rewatch this live. I'm gonna post it on my YouTube. I just didn't want the YouTube to be public because the people, the trolls, the trolls were working my nerves last week. Okay, I'm gonna answer Ellie's question. Oh, Ellie, is that a question? Okay, journal prompt. Very good. Okay, what's the first step of healing from heartbreak? It's a lot of steps. My book, Made for This, talks about me healing from a relationship that I was in for 6 years. My younger 20s. Um, head over heels in love. We were going to get married. Thought we were going to run off into the sunset. And it's a perfect example of self betrayal. So if you're ever trying to figure out what self betrayal is, go read the book. Okay, it's a perfect example of self betrayal. I knew at year 2 for sure that was the reasons, and we create stories, situations that we don't have. So healing from heartbreak is a long process. Can you heal while still being in communication with the person who hurt you? It depends. The long answer is yes. There's nothing that ever stops you from healing. The only thing that stops you from healing is you deciding I'm not going to heal. So whatever the situations or the circumstances are, there's always a pathway to healing. The question is, am I courageous enough and am I willing to walk the pathway? Because the pathway is going to always be things I don't want to do. The pathway is going to always be something I don't feel like doing or I'm scared to do. I don't know if I should do it. Right? You read the book, you're going to find out. I left the relationship and ended up in a roach infested apartment. You hear me? Roaches everywhere. Okay, roaches. I have never been in an apartment where when you don't typically when you turn on the lights and the roaches run away. No, the roaches run nowhere. Okay, they just stay right there. And I was like, I can't do this. But, that's what happens. You gotta get out of there. You gotta get out of there. So that's what happened. I was there for what, maybe a month, and I talked about in the book that was where I started really doing my started in that apartment about the biggest thing about healing from heartbreak is that you get to a place where you can't keep pointing fingers. I couldn't keep saying he was the problem. I couldn't keep saying he did this and he was a bad person and he didn't value me and he took this and he took that. Back then we weren't using narcissists, but that's what everybody said. Now, they were a narcissist. They were this, they were. We can't keep pointing the fingers. At some point, I don't care if they were a narcissist, I don't care if they were a master manipulator. At some point, you knew you were being manipulated and willfully did it. At some point, you knew it didn't feel right. Pushing forward. At some point, one was not adequate to you. You kept investing. We can't keep pointing the fingers, and that's where healing begins. That's where it starts. Okay. So get the book Made for This on Amazon. We actually, if you are working on yourself and you're trying to figure out where do I go, what do I do next, I encourage you to join the Daily Fix because joining the Daily Fix is my morning meetup community. They meet with me every morning. This whole month we've been talking about healing wounds, right? Healing the wounds of our hearts. Next month we will be having a relationship series, but there's a caveat for them. I don't think that month is for everybody. The best thing about the Daily Fix is that when you join, you will get access to all of the content that we have covered in the last almost 3 years. So that means whatever it is you're struggling with, it's covered in the Daily Fix. I've covered attachment styles, I've covered heartbreak, I've covered trauma, I've covered personality structures, meditation, all of it has been covered. So whenever you come to the Daily Fix, you get to start with the videos that are speaking to who you are, and you get an amazing community. Okay, TDF sound off. All right, you get an amazing community so that you realize that I don't have to heal alone, and I can be surrounded around people who get it, who just get it. You don't have to keep explaining why you have to these boundaries with our tribe. We get it, right, and we support you in it. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Let me see. Um, Let me go to, I'm going to do two more questions and then we're going to get on up out of here. Oh, I'm going to give you guys a journal prompts. Don't let me forget the journal prompts. Okay, how does one gradually move out of self isolation to past trauma? Very good question. Um, Here's the thing, self isolation is not a bad thing, right? And if I had to um, label it appropriately, right? Because it's not necessarily that we're isolated, right? Because there are two things. There are people who isolate, right? And then there are people who have to separate themselves so that they can begin healing. Most people do isolation. Now, in isolation, you're not doing anything but avoiding what hurt you, right? So in isolation, you're not actually doing any work. You're not really addressing what hurt or processing the situation, right? So if I'm in isolation and I'm not doing any type of processing, I'm not doing any type of mental and emotional work that'll facilitate healing, then all I'm doing is hiding from the problem. So you may not be ready to come out and reintegrate into community because you're not ready, right? When we are in isolation, the goal is I am separating myself from the general public so that I can actually do the work that I'm going to do, right? And you're separating yourself not because I just don't like people, I don't have capacity. That's not what we're doing. We're separating ourselves because when I am doing emotional healing work, it takes up all of your energy, right? It takes up all of your attention. It takes time. Like I remember when I was healing, someone invited me to a party or somewhere, and it was a close friend. Like, hey, we're having a party. It was a very important event. I was like, hey, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. And they're like, oh, but people are expecting you there. You gotta come. I haven't seen you. Which is true. They had not seen me. Right? because the energy that it would take for me to show up to this event, surrounded by people, and act like nothing was wrong. I didn't have the energy to do it. And I was going to show up authentic, which means I was going to bring down the vibes in the party, right? So I was able to remove myself from even my outer, because it definitely wasn't my inner circle always has access to me. My outer circle not so much, right? But I would remove myself. But it was because I was doing the work in the back end, which means I'm processing. I'm asking the hard questions. I'm looking at civic accountability. I'm finding answers to the questions that I've been putting off, right? You're actually doing the work to process the event. So if you are doing the work and you're processing, reintegrating back into community is a little bit easier because you're reintegrating feeling lighter. I'm not Think of it like carrying, when I haven't processed my trauma, I'm just carrying all these bags with me into these new relationships, into these friendships. So I'm still integrating and I still feel like, oh, I just don't want to deal with people. I just don't have the capacity for people. That's because you're carrying all this stuff with you. You got all of this trauma, you got all this hurt, you got all this resentment, you got all this mistrust, and you think you're going to come back into community like that. That's not how that works. When you get ready to come back into community, you're coming in lighter because I've offloaded some stuff. I'm not coming in skeptical, thinking all people are bad. I'm not coming in saying no new friends because I've realized the value of community, even if I was betrayed in my last friendship. So we're able to come back in lighter and we're able to come back in clear, right? I know what kind of people I want to be connected to, and I know what I need in friendship. That's one of the biggest things that I believe in and stand by. That's how I know I'm getting sleepy. I was like, everybody ain't your friend. Everybody that you come in connection with or contact with, there's levels to friendship. There's levels to connection. And everyone does not get the same access. Everyone does not get the same level of connection. So when we integrate it back into community, it's also being aware of who gets the bigger parts of me, the more vulnerable parts of me, and who just gets the surface level. We can hang out, we can go eat, go movie, eat some popcorn. But this is not my ride or die. This is not my, naked under the sun friend. This is a nice connection to have when I want to have fun. But that's not my deepest connection, and that's okay, right? So you'll be able to come in with a better understanding of what you're looking for in your community, and what feels good to you in connection instead of just connecting to people because they're available. That's how we get hurt. When we just connect to people because they're available. There's a lot of people available, but I want the right people, right? I want the people that I feel um, aligned with. We have the same values, we have the same beliefs, we have the same approach to life, right? I can trust them because they move like me, right? That's the biggest thing. I can trust them because they move like me. Okay. All right, we're gonna get out of here with Jerica's question, and then I'm gonna give you the journal prompt. I'm telling you, I'm gonna forget this journal prompt. Okay. Jerica says, why is letting go from a certain friendship so hard? Well, probably because you have a lot of history, right? Probably because, with releasing friends, I'm not just releasing bad parts. I'm not just releasing the reason, whatever the reason was that we're disconnecting. I'm not letting go of just that. I'm also letting go of the good times that we had. I'm also losing my confidant. I'm losing the person that I can talk to about certain things. I'm losing the person that was there with me when I didn't have anything. They were there with me at rock bottom, right? So I'm losing history. I'm losing not even just history. You're also losing a future, right? Because I dreamed that this was going to be my maid of honor. I dreamed that we were going to raise our kids together. So I'm not just grieving what I lost, I'm also grieving the person that I wanted to do life with. I think what people miss in friendship is that friends, true friends, real friends, are just as important as our spouses. They're literally the people that you do life with. You call them because you had a funny bowel movement. You got a pain in your stomach and like, hey, let me see, girl, did you feel this pain? It's so inappropriate the conversations we have, right? So you're losing the person you thought you would be able to do life with, in a sense. That's a huge grief, right? And I think that you should rush to replace those people. Some of those people won't be replaced, they won't be replaced. And the goal is not to replace them, the goal is to find new connections, right? But I think that you have to allow yourself to grieve. And that grieving process looks the same way it would if I was grieving someone who passed away, right? Allow yourself to have your death and burial process. And then, whatever reason that you're choosing to stay disconnected, remind yourself of why that reason is. Free, right? Free. Because it'll be easy for us to forget why, why we chose to disconnect, because we're hanging on just to the nostalgia of the relationship. You have to constantly remind yourself, I know you love them, and I know y'all have history, but this is where you stand with this person, right? It's hard. It's not easy. I think long-term friendships are just as hard to grieve as relationships at times, for sure. Okay, okay. Y'all ready for y'all journal prompts? So last week's journal prompt was focused on community. Let's see what this week's journal prompt is going to be focused on. If you guys don't, or okay, I said I was going to tell you. So if you're not coming to the tour, because right now we only bring it to our tour dates, our tour stops. But because I love you so much, love you so much, you guys can go to the Heart Talks website and get it. I just changed the QR code, okay? Hearttalkstour.com is the website. It has over 200 journal prompts. And I'm not going to lie to you, these journal prompts are not easy. They're not supposed to be easy. They're supposed to trigger you. Um, when people ask me what I do if I'm messing with them, I'm like, oh, I make people cry for a living. That's what I do. I make people cry all day. And that's what I'm saying. All right, I'm gonna. She said page 95. I'm just looking to a random page in the book. We're still on community. All right, we're still on community. So I randomly opened to page 123. Okay, so y'all think say I'm lying. 123 in the book. The journal prompts that I want you guys to do. All right, write it down. Do it later if you're too sleepy or too tired. Okay. She said I don't have a book. Okay. The journal prompt on page 123. What does loyalty look like to me? And how do I show that to the people that matter most in my life? What does loyalty look like to me? And how do I show that to the people that matter most in my life? Um, so this is in the Love, Trust, and Tribe section of the book. So this is still in community. Um, the reason why this journal prompt is important, because number one, many of us have to, at some point in our adult lives, redefine what loyalty actually means. Because many of us were taught that loyalty was defined based on proximity, based on the length of time that you knew someone, based on our bloodline. So we were taught that we were supposed to be loyal to people because we were family. Blood is thicker than water. That's a lie. That's a lie. right? Um, you know, when someone you grew up with a friend, they're like, I've been your friend for 20 years, right? And right, I always say that there is nothing, right? And I've had to learn because I was a person who's very loyal, and I when I connect, I don't like letting people go, but I have had to learn that loyalty does not mean that I stay connected with people, even though we're no longer aligned, right? Sometimes loyalty means that I'm choosing to disconnect from you because, first and foremost, my loyalty to self supersedes the loyalty that I have over any relationship. So if we become out of alignment, if our values at some point are different than the other, I have to constantly be willing to challenge myself and say, I know you love them. Hear me. Because loyalty and love are two different things. I know you love them, but you may have to make some new decisions about how loyal you are for whatever reason, right? We're asking what does loyalty look like to you? First of all, it's asking you to redefine your definition of loyalty. What does loyalty actually mean? Loyalty does not mean that I am, tied to people simply for namesake or because it's expected of me. But what determines how I choose to be loyal to people? And then the second question was, how do you actually show that to the people who matter to you? This is a big one for me because I think we become um, self-centered. That's just what it is. When our world revolves around ourselves, it can be very easy for us to get wrapped up in what we have going on in our lives, and sometimes we forget to check in on the people around us. And so we can have friends who are suffering, we can have loved ones who are suffering, and we have not noticed enough to check in. So what does loyalty look like, and how do you show it to the people who matter most? Not how do you show it to everybody, because you should not be loyal to everybody, but for the people who actually matter to you, how are you showing up for them? Okay. So that is the journal prompt for tonight. Do your journal prompts, post it, let me see it, let me tell me what you learned about it. Okay. And you may have to be honest to say, you know what, I haven't actually been a good friend. I actually haven't been a good family member because I have my own stuff going on. Right. And if that's your truth, tell the truth. The biggest thing about journaling, you guys, is you cannot lie. Right. The Heart Talks journal, that's what I put in the in the form, right? I tell them the only prerequisite to using this journal, you cannot lie. You cannot lie. You have to be honest. Okay. Oh, can you get an autograph? Yes, but you have to email the fulfillment team first. So send an email to Brenda at info at hearttalkstour.com and just let her know that you want to buy my autograph, so that when the order comes through, she can put your name, and I'll just tell her that I'll sign it. So yes, you have to shoot an email so that she'll know that I need to sign your order before it goes out. So info@hearttalkstour.com, just for y'all. If you want me to sign your journal, send an email and I'll make sure it gets signed before she ships it out for you guys. You can find the journal with the QR code that's right there. All right, y'all. This has been a good Q and A. Y'all have some really good questions tonight, and I love that all the questions weren't all about relationships. Okay, because yes, relationships are important. We love them. Okay, they make us feel good. But here, let me type it out. There we go. Info@darkhouse2.com. Yeah. So shoot an email there and let her know that you want me to sign it, and I'll make sure I sign it. But yeah, when you start asking questions that are really about self, like how can I be better? Because the better you are, the better your relationships become, right? The better you you become, the more you stretch, the more you grow, the more opportunities you have, the better you get your life. It all starts with self, right? So I love when you guys are asking questions about self discovery, self identity, healing, all of that, because the relationships get better when you get better, right? So that lets me know where y'all heads are at. I love it. I love it. I love it. To everybody coming to the show in Miami, I can't wait to see y'all. Like I just can't wait to. Somebody said they're coming to Orlando. I will be in Orlando this weekend. I will be in Orlando this weekend, speaking at the Turn Up conference. So I'll see you guys this weekend, and then I'll see my Heart Talks tribe May 9th. I keep saying May. I don't know why I keep saying May. August 9th. And then my birthday show is in New York, August 23rd. Birthday show. Okay. I think I'm gonna have everybody come dressed in birthday attire. Like I think we just need to dress like we're going to a birthday party. I think that's what it needs to be. And yes, we will be releasing 2020 2026 tour schedule, but no time soon, y'all. Listen, after New York, I'm taking a break. Okay, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break. Okay, I'm gonna go lay down somewhere, and then we're gonna regroup. We'll regroup and get it together for you guys. Yes, the journal will be available at the conference. Bring another two tours to New York. Oh, what's the? It's the From the Heart Journal. From the Heart Journal. Virgo in the building. She said, "I'll pop out a birthday." Hey, I'm not against it. Pop out of a birthday cake. I believe in birthday shenanigans. All right. Okay, y'all. I want y'all to have an amazing night. I'm going to go get some rest. I will see you guys in Miami. I will see you in New York, Orlando. I'll see you this weekend. In the meantime, make sure that you get the Heart Talks journal so that you can be doing your work in between your sessions with me. Okay. Um, it'll right. She said almost a Leo. Listen, I don't have a problem being a Virgo. Is it on the website? Yes, go to hearttalkstour.com and you'll see the merch button, and you'll be able to get it. All right. Go to Heart Talks Tour for all the other tour dates, you guys. And you can put your city because it has a wait list. So if you want me to come to your city, there's a little box. It asks what city you want me to come to. Put your city there because I'm trying to get a feel for where we want to go for next year. All right. So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful night. London, I ain't making no promises, but we're trying to get over there. All right. Y'all have a beautiful night, and I will see you guys next week on Tuesday, 8 o'clock my time, Central Standard Time. All right. Bye.